days of corruption are creeping up on you. Bloodstains and destruction are getting the better of you. But it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Yes, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Because the miracle of the age is creeping up on you. The miracle of the age is creeping up on you. The miracle, the miracle, the miracle, your mind is going away. Blind ego reduction, make it easy for you. More names for destruction, they'll get the better of you. But it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Yes, it's hot, and if I ever get caught, then I really don't give a damn. Because the miracle of the age is creeping up on you. The miracle, the miracle, the miracle is going away.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.
Good evening, fans of fantastic films, and welcome once again to the Drive-In Asylum double feature. I'm Bill Van Ryn from fanzine Drive-In Asylum, and my usual co-host is Sam Panico of
Hello,
BNS
everybody.
About Movies.
Hey,
And we've got two fantastic guests on tonight's program, don't we, Sam?
we sure do. Up in the middle, we have Mike Justice. Hello, Mike.
Hi. It looks like you have a cat on your shoulder when you lean back on.
I know, it's not Wally either. We have similar cats. And Bill, who else do we have?
This guy you might recognize from not too long ago on the program, John McDevitt. Welcome back, John.
Wonderful to be here.
Each of our hosts have picked a movie this week. We're starting with John's pick first, which is Death Spa. Very exciting movie that has one of the weirdest love scenes you'll ever see.
This is the first time I'm going to be watching Death Spa.
Asparagus.
Is it really, Bill?
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen it tonight. I mean, I did skim through it when I did the trailer, but you know, it looks like a hell of a lot of fun. Where has this movie been all my life is what I'm wondering.
I think.
What made you pick this, John?
Pardon?
I asked John what made him pick this movie.
Oh, yeah. It was partly because it was something that I saw was available on Tubi, but also just because I think it's one of the most entertaining 80s horror films that many people haven't seen or haven't heard of. It is just a total blast. It's goofy, it's dumb, it's colorful, it's wacky, and yeah, I think folks are going to enjoy it.
So, Mike, you've seen this, I guess.
I have. I did. I saw it on a double feature years ago at a friend's house with Killer Workout, and so for years I got those two kind of. I couldn't remember where one began and the other one ended, but I think. But then I watched Death Spa again, and I was like, okay, that is definitely my favorite of the two. So I'm excited to watch it again.
I love that somebody did a double feature of those two films. It's definitely a winning pair.
Yeah, and I love Death Spa. It's sort of like that subplot in Demons 2, like stretched out to feature length.
Indeed.
The director of this movie, Michael Fisher, also did My Mom's a Werewolf, another movie that has an absolutely ridiculous sex scene where John Saxon sucks a woman's toes while she's turning into a so, you know, is this a theme? He also did Crack House, which I really like, Delta Heat, and Dead Time Stories 1 and 2. He has segments with him there. So really a stellar reputation for our first director.
What was the last thing he made? Is he still working at all?
Yeah, he did a TV series this year. He's doing he made a movie called Rice Girl in 2014. That really sounds politically correct.
And, is that the one with what's her face? I'm sorry, I'm blanking. The Clueless. She passed away. No, that's okay. Sorry, that's Ramen Girl with
Yeah. Now this has Martin Coe, Pat Morita, Ian Lithgow, and Kat Ling is the actress, but he just is doing a TV series called Rice Girl Goes to Hollywood. It's listed as a TV series. Is there still a TV series? What streaming platform is it going on? But that's all I know about it. So that's
you can call anything a TV series now. I have a TV series that I made on IMDb, and it's just a YouTube clip. You know, like
this technically is a TV series. You're on one right now. Put it on your IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
I always wonder that. Like, why don't we have an IMDb entry? I don't think we can have one if you're a live stream show, can you?
I'm not sure.
Let me dig into that.
What chaos IMDb would become if they allowed that. I mean, how many people have their own live stream?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make a.
I had a FaceTime conversation with Mike Justice, and it's now on IMDb.
Well, I guess if we recorded it and like made it available to other people.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find a plot hole and put it in the goof section.
Right. The budget.
I'm also amused that there's two writers for this, James Bartoff, who has one other credit. He did an episode of What's Happening Now, the sequel to What's Happening. And the other writer is Mitch Paradise, who wrote 5 episodes of Hotel, which I think is a great training for this, and 1 episode of Jake and the Fat Man. So, again, pretty exciting. The 5 episodes of Hotel make a lot of sense when you see this. This has, I think at least, I like the feel of this movie. There's a lot of, I like this movie for the same reason I like Murder Rock. There's a lot of leotards and workout scenes in between the murder.
I wonder if he wrote the episode of Hotel with Juliette Mills and Maxwell Caulfield playing like hot lovers having circus sex. Like that show was, you weren't allowed to watch that show, right?
I was allowed to watch it. Dynasty, I wasn't allowed to watch. I had to go to bed during Dynasty. Like I would be like the first couple minutes of it would be on, and they'd be like, "Okay, time to go to bed."
Bummer.
I was allowed to watch the Carringtons though. I think I was old enough to watch that, so that worked out.
Or the Colbys, you mean?
The Colby, sorry, yeah, there's the UFO scenes in it that at the end, like that show completely. And the end of it, the spoiler warning: everybody gets shot in Moldavia or wherever it was.
Was Al Corley on the Colbys or Dynasty?
Pretty sure he was on Dynasty. The early seasons, right?
I just remember he was an early 80s like synth pop star.
Yeah. I think he was the first person to play the Carrington's son, whose name is escaping me.
Al Corley.
Is
He
Dynasty,
had like some gay disco high energy records.
is Dynasty the one that's supposed to have kind of like had a fairly controversial last few seasons where the tone changed? I was thinking, because I remember reading that the director of Schizoid went to go work on either Dallas or Dynasty, and they call him like the man who killed Dynasty because he like ruined seasons. David
He made them like schizoid.
Yeah, it's just that I can't remember the exact details. I remember reading about it and thinking like, oh wow, okay, yeah, he killed Dynasty or killed Dallas, one of those two.
I can't tell you that Jess Franco made an adult version of Dynasty and Falcon Crest, and the adult Falcon Crest is called Phalo Crest, which is pretty amusing to me. They're both beyond
PHALLO.
Yeah, PHALLO. Yeah, it's really bad, like ridiculously bad. He actually didn't direct it. I think Lena directed that one. Sorry, Candy Costner directed that one. So I have to use the proper name.
Oh, Jess Franco, you scamp.
Yeah.
That guy just did.
It's a contest. How long until Mike says Maxwell Caulfield, and how long until I say Jess Franco? So if you're drinking at home, these are both reasons to drink on the show right now.
And
Thanks
by the way,
everybody for joining us. We've got about 30 people watching, which is fantastic. And we remind you to please click like on the video. And if you really like us, share. And if you haven't subscribed to Groovy Doom on YouTube, I highly suggest that you do. There's lots of good content on there, not just the Drive-In Asylum double feature, but every once in a while I throw up a stupid trailer that I cut together. So you can watch that too. Subscribe.
Well, God bless the YouTube copyright fascists, because that's kind of what made you start cutting all these trailers, right? Because you were trying to kind of circumvent the copyright, not to trigger it, and then you ended up making like these awesome little trailers.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out that it was the audio that was tripping me up. I mean, they don't really know what the video is, I guess, or it takes them longer to find it. So if you remove the audio, man, you can, do what it's intended to do, promote someone else's property.
I know, like Universal keeps like taking, when I'll post clips from their movies on Instagram, they'll take them down, and I'm like, what do you think I'm bootlegging your movie on Instagram? Like, if the worst that will happen is somebody might actually give you money to see the whole thing.
Yeah. Win-win. Anyway, so back to Death Spa. This movie sort of has, I've come to associate the look of this film, which I guess reminds me a little of Night of the Comet. I've associated this kind of thing with a movie rental, but it's not. Or was it? No, it didn't. This one didn't play theatrically, I'm pretty sure, because I couldn't find one damn ad to look at.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I always think of this as a rental. It's got incredible box art, though. I mean, as Bill said, it looks like someone farting on someone and melding them. Is they're on doing their lats on the machine there. I think about this movie a lot when I would go to my gym And I was like, because sometimes I would get really upset because they used to have like pizza day at my gym, which seems like the dumbest thing possible. Like, why would you have pizza? I'm trying to lose weight. I don't need to smell pizza. Like, this is ridiculous.
Bill, I'm wondering if the reason you're connecting it to Night of the Comet is because of the neon radio station in that movie and kind of the look of that set.
Probably.
Yeah.
The monster stuff too, though. I mean, it was made sort of around the same time, so the effects are similar, and maybe that neon is the reason. And the subject matter, health spas. This is, I think Mike described this earlier as like the movie Perfect, except with horror elements.
Yeah, that's kind of like, because there's a lot of sort of obligatory music montages, if I recall correctly, and stuff. It just seems very. I love this era. This kind of the horror comedies of the late '80s, very late '80s. It was my favorite. Like, as Liz Lemon would say, I want to go to there.
It's got a lot of folks that you'll recognize from other movies. You know what I mean? Like, where it's like Rosalind Cash is in it, and she was in the Omega Man, that's where I know her from. And she was on General Hospital for a while too. But
she dies at well, spoiler alert. she has a great death scene in this movie.
And obviously Ken Foree is a big person in this, and Merritt Butrick, I think that's how you say his last name. I know him from Square Pegs, and he was also Captain Kirk's son in 2 of the Star Trek movies.
And the person who plays the supernatural killer in Death Spa was one of the leads in The Uninvited, the 80s film about the mutant cat on a cruise ship, which is a delightful film, complete trash, but incredibly fun to watch.
I think that's probably one of the few cat-themed horror movies that I still haven't seen. But I think I've seen all the other ones.
It's worth it. Like, it kind of toggles between a real cat and a very Muppety fake cat that looks nothing like the real cat. If you enjoy cat-themed horror movies, you'll enjoy that one.
I think I've been
something to
saving
see
it
for sure.
Also, it has Sherry Shattuck in it, who is in the video for 38 Specials Caught Up in You. There's a lot of music. Whenever you look up the people in these movies, they're like, they were the girl in this music video. You generally get like people that were in Playboy and in this era of music, of direct-to-video. They have like Playboy credits or music video credits. But we were watching a true crime movie this week, and my wife's like, they're not really in Playboy if they just had like a photo in Playboy. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're like when someone's like, I was in Playboy, and you go, wow, that's awesome. Like, I had one picture in it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not really in Playboy. You weren't like a playmate. Maybe you can't use that on your resume anymore.
Not anymore. Not since this darn internet came along, where you can verify people's credits and.
What's that commercial where there's a company now where you pay them to go scrub the internet of all your negative items?
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. You can also have them scrub so people can't look you up on public search engines or something. Yeah.
Also, Chelsea Fields in this, who was what I know her from is she's the flight attendant in Commando, who Arnold says they're dead tired whenever the two guys are dead riding with them on the plane. And she is the wife of Scott Bakula, which is not as good as being the wife of who you always mentioned that Mike.
Maxwell Caulfield?
Wife. Yeah, but Scott Bakula is not bad being Scott Bakula's wife. She's also in Prison, which is another movie from this time, and Dust Devil, which are kind of rental movies from that era.
Have you guys seen the other? Have you seen Killer Workout, aka Aerobicide?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Do you agree that Death Spa is the better movie? Or are they
Death
apples
Spa
and oranges?
It's definitely the more polished film, without a doubt. More colorful. greater production values, which is a funny thing to say about a movie like That Spot. There's something about Killer Workout, though, that I think I love just as much. I mean, the gimmick of the main murder weapon being a jumbo safety pin is just so ridiculous that I just can't get enough of it. Yeah, I really enjoy Killer Workout. I like the killer reveal in that one too, and I won't spoil it, even though it's kind of predictable. Yeah, I kind of like them both equally, but just in very different ways.
When did Murder Rock come out? Because that also had a pin as the murder weapon. Do you think that
It sure did.
Yeah.
Murder Rock also has a point of view shot of a pin coming near a woman, which is one of my favorite scenes. It's like a hat pin, like kind of coming at the camera. Murder Rock's from '84, so it's really close to the same era. It's like 5 years before, 4 or 5 years before. The thing that this movie influenced me on is anytime my gym had machines that had like a lot of electronics on them to like guide you through your workout, I would never use them because there's a scene in the spoiler, you'll see it in a second, where any of the computerized machines in this are deadly. So I'm like, I'll just stick to regular weights. The other movie that I always think of for workout related deaths, it's really simple. The Toxic Avenger has a really horrible one where they put someone's head in the plates and then smash them at one point, which is one of the grossest effects in that movie.
That has that great POV scene of him entering the gym and everybody scrambling to escape. I love that part.
I have a weakness for that movie because there's a really great line in it where the girl, whenever they're trying to set him up for his, when they dunk him in the toxic waste, the girl goes, "We're going to do it." And he goes, "Do what?" And she's, "We're going to do it, Melvin." And like, it's the worst dialogue, but I love it.
You know what? So I remember there was a health club on that season of American Horror Story that took place in the 80s, but I don't think any horror happened at the health club, right?
Oh yeah, it was sort of like the roll call, the freeze frame on each character with their name on the screen.
Yeah, but they just kind of
there weren't many scenes that actually took place in the health spa. One of the characters was an aerobics instructor.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of limited to the first episode, and but there was a lot of fun aerobics imagery in the opening credit sequence for that season as well.
Oh yeah,
they look like this movie too. Come to think of it,
I always think in like a lot of slashers, there's always like one workout girl. There's like one girl that has like that kind of outfit, that fits.
This reminds me, in the film The Video Dead. The goofy young woman in the neighborhood who comes over to the house at some point talks about how she's going to college to be an aerobics instructor, but doesn't like go into any more depth with it. We don't get to see her in her gear, but I always thought that was delightful. And
the best workout gear scene I think we've shown so far is in Troll 2 when she has the whole workout within her. This she does that thing with her eyes. And
when she's like working out in like the hallway, like the foyer next to the front door or something. Like, why was she in there? Just because there's a mirror, right?
Yeah.
But it's literally like the part of the house that's like this wide.
Yeah.
Was she the one that got dissolved?
No, she's the daughter, the heroic daughter.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Beth
I keep thinking about the one that got dissolved and they came in and like sucked her up like soup.
Is that the one with the teeth? No, that was I'm thinking of the witch.
Oh yeah, no.
Murder Rock versus Cop Rock. Murder Rock.
Cop Rock was a bigger deal in TV Guide and people talking about it than when it was actually on, I think. Like it was like this is going to be the biggest thing ever, and then everybody watched it like once and like, that's cool.
Both my parents were obsessed with Cop Rock, and still to this day will like mention it every once in a while as like that time that America went crazy and rejected something wonderful. And I'm like, okay.
They did another show just like that, like in the 2000s, because I remember Hugh Jackman was on it. That it was another British show that got picked up. They had singing randomly. They would sing songs out of nowhere, and people just like, I don't like this. I think maybe today, now that more people have seen a Bollywood movie or two, maybe it would work, but I still don't think it would work.
Yeah. Well, isn't that, well, I mean, Glee worked, but I think it's because that it made sense that they would burst into diegetic songs since they were in a Glee club,
Yeah.
not just like working in an office or whatever.
Yeah. I'm glad that Chris knew that it was Viva Laughlin. I knew that somebody out there would pick it up in the chat. So thank you.
So, Bill, what did you bring instead of ads for Death Spa?
Well, I didn't actually bring anything for Death Spa, but I do have ads to look at. They're just not for Death Spa. There was some stuff that popped up on the page this week, and I wanted to see if you guys had ever seen this one to begin with.
Oh.
So Kathleen Wilhoit in that movie, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, but that's how I've always pronounced it, is like a character who walked out of a Sandman comic. It's just incredible. I even looked up at one point to see which was released first, Neil Gaiman's Sandman or Dream Demon, and they were released around the same time. And I don't know, it's a head scratcher as to which one might have influenced the other, or maybe it's a coincidence.
Yeah. Arrow just put this out a bit ago. She's also great in the Charles Bronson movie Murphy's Law, because her dialogue is out of control in that movie. Like, she doesn't swear as much as she invents a new way of talking, like talking shit to cops in it. It's pretty awesome. She's great in that. But she's great in Dream Demon too. That is, the Sandman parallels are really interesting.
So I haven't seen this one yet, and I always got it mixed up with that other dream movie that came out around this time. There was like, that subgenre of the Bad Dreams.
Yeah.
Dream Demon and
Dreamscape.
another Dreamscape. Yeah, that was in '84 though. This was 1988, I think, or '87. There was like a brief resurgence in '87 or '80. Sam, what year was Bad Dreams?
Came out after Nightmare 3 because it's the same movie. So like I think 85, 86.
It was kind of like, it was like Jennifer Rubin, like she didn't get to be in Nightmare 4, and she's like, fine, I'll go make my own.
I say that it's one of my favorite movies. So I don't want to let anybody think that I hate that movie. I love that movie so much. I love Bad Dreams the most. So, but that also gives me license to say it is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
The thing about Bad Dreams, I love Bad Dreams too. It's just that any movie where the plot hangs on somebody being programmed to hallucinate something in a very particular way, it's like there's no way in hell that the villain would know that she was seeing him in this as this person. You know what I mean? Like, it's just pretty ridiculous.
They didn't have to do that much makeup on Richard Lynch because his face is already burned up. So
I know.
Oh man, what is this movie, Bill? I don't even know this one.
Well, this is another one that I've never seen, and I hadn't even really thought about this. I don't know if I was aware this existed. Retribution, which is a movie about a man who has a near-death experience, and he becomes possessed by the spirit of a gangster that's out to get the remaining crew of this, gang that he was a part of. So I've never seen this one.
Well, Hoyt Axton's in it. That's crazy. And it's the same director as Stepfather 3 and Children of the Corn Revelation. So that should maybe tell you where we're getting into here.
So Canon owned like theater chains in Britain.
Yeah, when they bought Thorn EMI, they inherited their theaters.
Oh wow!
In Gotham, the carpet actually had Canon logos on it. It's my dream to have one of the carpet squares in my house.
Oh yeah, are they selling them off?
No one's ever seen any of them. It's something that I've talked about a lot with a lot of Canon heads. Like, if you ever see them, they're like, "We'll get them for you." I'm like, okay. So
I love how you managed to pretend just now that all you wanted was one square, when we all know you want the entire fucking house done in this Canon.
Just the base. I don't think Becca knows how much I love Canon, but I think if I try to do the upstairs with Canon logos, I think that'd be too much.
Yeah, but the horror basement.
Yeah, the horror basement. Maybe it'd be like part New Line, part Film Mirage, part Canon.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that shining carpet thing, that's for like rookies. Like,
yeah,
it's deep dive is where it's at.
Ooh, and now we've got Near Dark.
with a very strange looking ad that I don't think I've ever seen this before.
I've never seen that one before either. I'm trying to tell if that's one of the characters in the film. I mean, it's definitely the scene where the bullet holes in the shed and the light streaming through. But which character is that?
I'm not sure.
Wow.
It looks like it could be the lead character.
Yeah, Adrian Pastar. I also like this. Like, hey, if you like Witness and The Golden Child, if you like, this movie's nothing like it. Also, Becca's just responded in the chat that no cannon carpet in the house, by the way.
No can't. Well, she spelled it with one N, so maybe she means you can't.
Yeah, you could cite a technicality.
So no, you can't make the carpet upstairs the logo of the camera company, but you can use it. You can make it the logo of the distribution company.
Let's be nice. But music by Tangerine Dream, and that's enough. That's as bigger than the actors' names. I mean, that would bring me in, but it's like,
yeah, I mean, Tangerine Dream were pretty big in the 80s.
Yeah.
Well, this was London also, so they were probably more well known.
And how does everybody feel? And maybe we shouldn't get too spoilery, but how do people feel about the ending of Near Dark? Because I've always had very mixed feelings about the ending.
It's a very happy ending for an entire movie that is so dark.
It's a very happy ending, and additionally, I struggle for it to look like it makes any scientific sense, and maybe that's me taking it way too seriously.
Yeah,
I agree. It sort of suggests that.
Go ahead, Bill. Sorry.
It suggests that there is some kind of natural explanation for the things that happen in the movie, which is a mistake.
Yeah.
And plus, I don't like that it suggests that there is a way back from this. It sort of cheapens it a little bit. If you can be a vampire and then decide, okay, I don't want to be a vampire anymore and go back.
Yeah.
That's sort of, that's cheating.
What blows my mind is Homer in Near Dark is Joshua Miller, and his brother's in Lost Boys. So in the same year, they were in vampire movies on the opposite sides of the fence. Like, that's some wild coincidence kind of stuff.
I guess we're back to Dream Demon.
You didn't even talk about the Phantasm poster, though, Bill.
Oh, I guess we didn't.
Yeah, that Phantasm poster.
Well, who cares about that Phantasm poster? Who even likes Phantasm? No, this is Phantasm 2.
Yeah.
And it's unusual because this is the image that was used to promote the movie in Australia, the original film, Phantasm.
I love
for some reason.
Oh, I was just going to say I love the translucent hands.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that was an influence on Guillermo del Toro a bit for, like kind of his monster that has the hands like that.
Labyrinth.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah. Because we know he collects posters as well. I saw Phantasm 2 before 1, so I had no idea why Phantasm was so big. Like, I thought they were just action movies. I was like, I had no idea.
I've never seen all the Phantasms. Have you written about them yet, Sam? Like gone down the line and done like okay, I gotta check that out.
Yeah. I would say I like up to 3, but 5 is one of the roughest movies. It's like the footage is just kind of barely assembled and it's kind of green screened in. It's got some cool ideas, but I'd say the first one's the best, but the second one's got some fun stuff in it. The third one's okay. I was super excited for the third one. It's kind of like each one just adds like new balls. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this one has a gold ball, and this one has a giant ball. Versus like, the feel of the first one.
Yeah. Well, there's just definitely something about, when the original in a series is always you go back and you watch it and you realize that they were so hungry for attention that they were just throwing everything at you, like everything ingenious that they could think of. And then by the time part 3 comes along, it's like either it's franchised out to like different filmmakers like Hellraiser, where they're just kind of bringing in random scripts and calling them Hellraiser, or it's kind of like Nightmare. I probably get in trouble for saying this, but like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, where it's just like they've been reading their own press and they're like, you're gonna love this. Like, as opposed to like, please like us, please watch this, please, like the original.
Again, I saw 3 before any of them, so like 3 was like a big deal to me because like it's an X-Men movie. It's like a bunch of kids with powers that get together, or New Mutants. It's very New Mutants. The one of the few sequels like that I can think of that is really good is Return of the Living Dead 3.
Oh, love Return of the Living Dead 3.
Yeah.
So many plot holes, but like the through line of that romance is so beautiful and so unique to the series. So unique to that installment, I would say.
It's one of the few movies where you really get into the human side of being a zombie, because there's one part where she says, I can't feel my heart anymore. Like, I can't feel the blood in my body anymore.
Yeah.
And I never thought about that before, what it would physically feel like to be a zombie. And that's like and it's got great effects too.
And then the BDSM direction it goes, like inflicting pain on herself to curb her appetite for brains.
Yeah.
Really neat film.
Yeah. Way better than it should, a million times better than it should be, even though it still has problems. But
yeah,
it's pretty good.
Also, like the makeup effects, the gore effects in that film are freaking phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
It has a great box art too, with her face with all the different pieces like cut into it and stuff. Like, I used to just stare at the box art.
That image is what I want to see at every single drag show that I go to, and I never see it, and it's so sad.
She is quite fashionable, isn't she?
I've never seen Return of the Living Dead 3.
I recommend it.
It's not bad. I can understand why you haven't, because
Yeah.
I was skeptical because I hated 2.
Yeah.
There was a couple of funny things in it, and it was directed by the guy who did Shockwaves. So I had high hopes, but I ended up liking part 3 a lot better.
And let me ask you, is there a scene in part 2 where characters are watching Shockwaves? Because I feel like in every Ken Wiederhorn movie, he shoehorns in a scene where like the kids at camp and Meatballs 2 are watching it, and there's a couple of characters in Eyes of a Stranger who are watching it, and
he's gonna get paid for Shockwaves no matter what. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, let's.
I like how in the universes that he creates, like Shockwaves is like a household name. It's like this thing that's just omnipresent and like on TV and stuff.
Kids have toys of it. It's the Star Wars of the universe. It is not. Scott asks, is it Raid to the Grave? It is not. Those are the sci-fi Return of the Living Dead movies, which are, boy, it's that whole era of like late 90s, early 2000s. Let's go to the Eastern Bloc and make sequels, like Pumpkinhead sequels, and just do like 2 or 3 at the same time.
And they're still doing it. Like what they shot, in the Netflix Texas Chainsaw reboot, and they shot it in Bulgaria or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on. The first rule of Texas Chainsaw is that it should be in Texas. And since when is Texas like so cost prohibitive? Like, oh, well, we would shoot it in Texas, but Texas is too brand name. We have to go to Eastern Europe.
So you know what? My shirt says it. You don't have to go to Texas to have a Chainsaw Massacre.
It's true. You can go to Madrid.
Yeah, exactly. Bastards.
Yeah, you go to the Madrid, like the Boston College, where you can see like palm trees and stuff in the background.
Yeah. I mean, you could shoot Halloween, and it's supposed to be in Illinois, and you could shoot it in California with palm trees. So, and one bag of leaves,
Yeah, I liked. I'm not obsessed with parts 4 and 5 because I do think like by that point they were kind of beating a dead horse. But I love the atmosphere that Salt Lake City gave Haddonfield. Like that was a good looking. Those were good looking, like small town Halloween. Like there was a lot of atmosphere in those.
I have news for you. Beck and I are going to Salt Lake City to do one of the cinema things there to see it in the house.
No.
So, yeah.
In Rachel's house?
Yeah.
Or in their Myers house?
In their Myers house, the crazy one from 6 that works like
the gothic one with like the turret and the witch's hat and like
so you can actually get to do a tour of the house and then watch it in the backyard. They're gonna set up a drive-in setup in the backyard.
Oh.
That's gonna be our big vacation this year. We've just talked about it this week. So, and I said, and I was thinking like, will we see some Night Train to Terror stuff? And I realized there's not really anything in Salt Lake that's in the movie. Maybe the train or something like that.
No, you know what's there is do you remember in the segment where Mark Lawrence and Cameron Mitchell go to the devil's house and then Mark Lawrence gets locked in the car and the car blows up and there's like that mansion, like that mansion's in Salt Lake. You can go see it.
Well, I will send you a picture of me outside it locked in the car.
Do it.
Furiously trying to get out of the car like Mark Lawrence.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Salt Air is long gone, so you can't go there.
Yeah.
The place from Carnival of Souls.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll be taking pictures from the locations of Savage Journey, the the other movie that they made.
Oh, you know where you can go see is Philip Yordan had an office in Salt Lake that he actually put in an old church that wasn't in use, and the church is featured in Night Train to Terror when Claire, the doctor, is like hiding and watching the devil and that girl crossing the street, and then she gets in her car and like runs him over. Like that was Philip Yordan's office. So please go to Philip Yordan. And it's also in Greta. Remember when Greta's getting married to like the drag queen and they break up the wedding? So that was Philip Yordan's like film studio where they shot that.
Mike and I are probably the only two people that have seen Greta in its entirety more than once.
I love that.
Well, is it a comedy?
No, it's like it's kind of an absurdist, kind of almost surreal in a way, like kind of sub David Lynchian, sometimes Twin Peaks-ish. So it does seem comedic, although I think it is technically supposed to be a drama, right?
It's listed as a comedy on IMDb.
I mean, it's funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly strange. All three movies in it are very strange in their own ways. Chopped down, it's really interesting watching the full-length ones from the chopped down ones. I think that's why I really want a Vinegar Syndrome set of the full movies, and then because they did Night Train way early in their run of movies, but a box set of all the movies as part of Night Train would be a dream.
You know, unfortunately, they were talking to the editor of Night Train about it and asking, you know, if they would ever find, and he said that, you know, they were so desperate to recoup any money from those movies that he thinks that they actually chopped down the negatives to the original films to incorporate into Night Train. So you wouldn't be able to find a you know, Cataclysm anymore because they just took all the Cataclysm scenes and stuck them in Night Train and then threw away the trims. So, but like Greta, they probably have like 1/4-inch masters or something from the days when they were shopping it around, and that would be cool because I don't mind if it's a video master, as if that's all you can watch.
Yeah, and then I know that they put together what's the other movie of the third segment? I can't remember the Behind Bars. Maryland Behind Bars.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's crazy. It turns into a Marilyn Monroe kidnap story.
Right, and shot like 20 years later.
Yeah, and she's been alive since the 60s, and she's trapped in a dungeon somewhere.
And the woman who played her was, I forget her name, but she was kind of a horror, like a sub Mamie Van Doren style horror. Like she was in like some Al Adamson movie or something.
I'll also have to schedule a wellness appointment or whatever Greta does today. She's like a speaker.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she's a lifestyle coach.
I think I should set up an appointment and then I'll just FaceTime you during it. Like, we have a lot of questions for you.
That's what I wanted to do. So Jennifer Holmes, the star of The Demon, is now a funeral celebrant, and so I'd like call her, you know, and book her for like a funeral. Then she gets there and it's just me, and I'm like, hey, so like
tell me about the demons.
So like when you put on a shower cap and a shower curtain at the end of the movie, like, why'd you do that? And she's like, where's the funeral? I want to leave, please.
This is like how we're gonna end up pitching our Tintoera / Demonoid sequel. By like getting them together for like a charity event, and then all of a sudden we're like, "Hey, there's no people at this charity event." This
Oh no, yeah, no, Samantha Eggar, yeah, and you want to incorporate, put her in the Tintoret and Susan George, and they're playing like these two lonely old ladies who are trying to one up each other constantly by sharing, like, well, I was chased by a disembodied hand. Well, I was fucking these shark hunters, and one of them got eaten.
I just have to say very quickly to Vince, I adore Misfits of Science. Such a delightful TV series. I don't know if other folks here have seen it with Courtney Cox, and it's very.
Kevin Peter Hall is in it, and Dean Martin's son.
Yeah, exactly. Who died tragically young, not long after Misfits of Science.
He was in the Air National Guard and his jet crashed. Yeah. I was a big fan of that show to a ridiculous degree. And it's funny because there's a YouTube, that Good Bad Flicks on YouTube does like shows you'll forget. And of course, like I watched all of them. Any like Friday night shows, because I was a loser. Like shows that were on Friday nights that were in the death slot, the science fiction ones. My wife's like, you know, every episode of the show. I'm like, well, it's Misfits of Science. It's a big deal.
Looks like we got lots of fans in the chat. Misfits of Science.
And Misfits of Science is also where I first heard Kim Wilde. Her song The Second Time is like remixed for the pilot movie in a really cool way when Courtney Cox is using her telekinesis on a helicopter. Spectacular.
Just go for it.
Exactly.
It's the kind of show that, like, if it came out 10 years later, I think, or it's just in the wrong era for when it was on.
Yeah.
Was it on a whole season or just 13 episodes or something? I think
it made like 8 or 13. Like, it didn't.
Oh, okay. Oh, and then they cut it off and like put just the 10 of us on or whatever.
Yeah. Or they did, the other trick is like they would be like, hey, 2 episodes in a row tonight, and then like we're just burn off these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Teases and Dares. I was trying to remember the name of that album, Vince. Thank you.
Such a good album. I could listen to it on repeat forever.
Do you like that better than her debut?
That's a good question. I think I might. What about you?
I'm a sucker for the debut. I mean, I like both of them. It's one of those bullshit questions. Which one's better? But I like to think about bullshit.
One of them has to go. Yeah, those are always some kind of hurtful questions to ask.
I hate those. I get so upset. I'm like, I want all of them.
I'll sacrifice yourself. I'm like, I'll throw myself in the volcano if we can keep both these songs.
Your desert island records. It's like, I'm not going to be thinking about bringing records to a desert island.
You're going to bring those records and there's no power, and you're going to be like, fuck, I should have brought food.
Right.
You can't eat records.
Yeah.
So you can drink on a desert island if you don't mind the salt water. And but Sam has a beverage for us for this evening's first feature, Death Spa, and Robot Sam is about to take it away. What's the drink called?
It's
Real
Witch
Sam?
Bitch. Witch Bitch, which is the alternate title for this movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was ever released as Witch Bitch, but we'll talk more of that.
This is directed by Becca, who there's a lot of.
Really quickly, another American Horror Story connection. I'm pretty sure an episode of Coven was called that.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Oh.
or some variant of it. Oh, maybe it was Bitchcraft. I think the episode was called Bitchcraft. But yeah,
A song yet to
You
be
can see
recorded.
my wife's hand in this episode of the drink video. By the way, she there's props, and I was given direction, and even there's some hair done by
She's
her.
like the Steve Miner to your Sean Cunningham. She's like bringing the production value.
Yes, exactly. So you'll enjoy this one.
yay.
Oh, you just caught me in the middle of a workout, getting ready for the death spa. And what better way to get ready for the death spa than with this special drink, the Witch Bitch. Tonight, we're going to give you an energy drink and a drink that will also hydrate and dehydrate you probably at the same time. So, we're going to start with some gin. I'd say 2 ounces of gin. That's a daddy drink right there. A half an ounce of lime juice. Now, here's where the hydration comes in. 2 ounces of Gatorade.
What flavor Gatorade did you use?
Always green. Or lemon lime, but it's just the color.
We like to argue about the color. That is yellow.
It is green. It is the original Gatorade. And then finally, Mountain Dew. This is where the energy comes in. The most white trash drink probably I've ever made on the show.
This is like an ICP drink.
It really is. Who's going chicken hunting?
What are you making it in?
I'm making it in my special so I can take this to the gym. So whenever I'm at the gym hanging out, doing sets,
Doing reps.
doing reps,
Do not shake that.
it's not leg day. It's all cardio day. As we get ready for Death Spa, let's take a sip. Whoa, it's like a margarita. Holy cow, man, this drink is awesome. Anyway, let's all get on the Stairmaster and watch some Death Spa and Pazuzu.
Pazuzu. And I love when the Sam video freezes on an opportune facial moment.
Like I'm having a stroke.
There's never a good time for that. It always happens on the news, like when they're reading the news and it pixelates and they're always like, ah.
This drink smells like weed. I don't know why. I'm not complaining. It's good.
Pazuzu.
Pazuzu.
God, I don't even smoke grass. I don't keep any drugs in my house.
Yeah. How dare you?
I love how offended she is. I'd tell you, I don't even smoke grass.
I mean, it makes sense though, because she's like, she's been seeking help for her daughter for months, and then she'd be like, "Oh, wait, do you think it's the drugs I've been letting her do? Oh man, I'm sorry, you guys."
I do have that bottle of psychotropics in the medicine chest. Why didn't I think of that?
Why are you and my therapist and everyone always trying to tell me it's the drugs that are ruining my daughter? Did you have you guys ever played? Do you remember the board game Which Witch?
Yeah, didn't that have like a house?
Yeah,
with 4 sections.
Yeah.
I've never played it, but I've seen the commercials for it on YouTube.
Yeah, it's what I always think of whenever I see the alternate title Witch Bitch. I'm always like, oh, which like I keep meaning to go on eBay or something and buy it. Oh, Witch because I need it for my nostalgia collection.
I would collect a game called Witch Bitch too. That would be a fun game.
I always like, do you guys follow Kinder Trauma, right? On yeah, I'm constantly like I love the content, but I'm always like, oh wait, you mean there isn't a like they do the board games? I'm always like kind of disappointed, like, well, why isn't there a Carrie board game or something, or a board game of The Hearse with George C. Scott? Like that would be great.
We were this close to getting a cardboard game from Kenner, though. It's in the catalog and it never came out. And man, if there had been a car board game, I can't tell you how excited I would have been.
Well, there was another game that they did make. They made a prototype for the car. Is that the one you're talking about, Sam?
Yeah, it was in the Toy Fair catalog. Yeah.
Neato. I never heard about that.
Yeah.
It was one of those Jaws type. They kept making the same game. They made one for Alligator where you put stuff, but with the car was you pulled the car back and it was like on a tension mount, and there were little things like if you lost, you had to pull a pin out, and it made the tension. One of them, you'd pull it out, and the car would go boom and like run down and run you over.
How amazing it would have been if it had a cemetery with a marching band, and you had to like knock the marching band over in the gravestones. The car has one of my all-time favorite kills. As a kid, when she was on the phone talking to him, I'm like, certainly they won't kill the main character's girlfriend, and they're like, yeah, they do. Like you see it coming closer and closer.
Oh,
and
my
I just
God.
like lost my mind as a kid. I was so freaked out by it.
Yeah, the car is one of those movies, like when people ask like what's a bad movie that you legitimately think is good, and it's The Car. Like, not that I think it's so good it's bad, not that it's campy or fun like Showgirls. It's like I consider myself a fairly intelligent person who has my finger on the pulse of what people like and don't like, and I just don't understand why The Car got bad reviews. Like, I'm like, yeah, it's a legitimately good movie. Like, are you all insane? Like,
Bill and I saw it at the drive-in like 2 years ago, and with Christine, which is a great.
Oh, nice.
And it's the same drive-in that our big drive-in thing happens at, and there's like a metal plate right in front of the drive-in. At one point, while the car was chasing people, a big truck hit that plate, and everybody went whoa, and like all at the same time. It was one of my favorite times ever at the drive-in.
Yeah, The Car, if I'm going to be honest, I'll be a dissenter here. I'm not necessarily a car fan, but I do think that the scenes in it that are meant to build suspense do generate a lot of really real intense tension. And I do find those scenes in the film impressive. For me, it's just hard to take it seriously in that way with the absurdity of the killer car. It's like absurd, but plays it very serious.
It was one of the few movies on HBO that year that was out. So my grandfather watched it 75 times and would discuss it with us at dinner. It was a major deal. In my family, at least, it was a huge deal. And also when we got to see it, we also got to see the end scenes were put into this print where you see the car driving through Los Angeles with orange filter on it.
I love that part. Yeah, and it's like yeah. You know what's weird is one of the things I love most about The Car is, for whatever reason, I'm a real sucker for horror movies that like the final third will all take place at night, and then it'll become day for the last 10 minutes, like the end of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, and I love that, like the sun rises as they're like putting together like the booby trap for the car and stuff, and it's
Have any of you read the novelization of The Car?
No.
Oh man,
I have, and I can tell you that the ending is slightly different and it's a really intriguing ending.
Hmm.
I don't know if they ever intended to film it this way, if the original script, it's pretty much exactly the same, right up until when they blow it up or they bury it in the quarry.
Isn't it weird that the same plan to kill the tall man is the same plan to kill the car? Like,
if it works, it works.
yeah, drop it in a hole and blow it up good.
But they're in the quarry at the end and they bury it. But after like the rubble lands and everything, they're listening for it. And since it's a book, you can tell, they tell you what all the characters are thinking, and everybody is just really not convinced that this works. And they hear the car horn off in the distance, and then there are other car horns that they hear. Like there's a whole bunch of cars out there, and they realize that, like, you know, it's not going to stop. Like this isn't, obviously it was something completely absurd and strange that happened to them in their town, but they suffered real death and loss from it, and that was sort of like the intention of whatever this evil was that was doing this to them. So that was,
and it's totally nihilistic. It's very 70s, like Race with the Devil. You know how like it has a very unhappy-ish ending.
Yeah,
well, I guess Race with the Devil has a really unhappy ending. The car has an unhappy-ish ending because they're all traumatized. And
yeah.
Everybody has lost somebody from the car, and then, like, you know, it doesn't really, you know, like
and also where they were, I mean, where they're living is sort of like the desert was on the downward spiral, you know, like during that era, like all those sort of failing like New Mexico towns and stuff. So
yeah.
Oh,
the Native American mysticism in it was another element. That was a trendy 70s thing.
Yeah.
When they were doing that in horror films.
I have to say, the direct to streaming The Car sequel that came out a year or two ago is to be avoided. It's in the future, and it's if you said it was a Death Race 2050 movie, it would make as much sense. Like, it has nothing to do with the car.
Do you guys remember, was there, I could never tell if this was intentional or just a coincidence, but was there like an homage to the car at the end of Animal House with that big like Duesenberg tearing through the down the parade, or is that just like a random coincidence?
I would like to take it like that, but yeah, I would love that. My grandfather actually got a horn for his car to sound like the car. This is how much he loved this movie. And when he would come home from the mill, he would drive up the driveway and tilt his lights towards the house and start hitting that horn and scream out the window, "The car's coming!" And of course, I was like 8, and I would run in fear because I had already seen the car kill so many people.
I love how triumphant the car was. Like every time I would kill someone, it'd be like me, driving down the street.
Suckers.
Oh man, Becca will not watch it. Even when at the drive-in, she went to bed right before it. She's like, "I'm not going to watch it. I don't want to see the car." So somehow she's lived with me 9 years and not seen the car.
Wait a minute, what she got against the car?
It seems dumb. She's at home now, so she could. What do you have against the car? She said she's been told to watch it so many times she's put up a wall and she shall never watch it.
That's how I felt about Chinatown, the Jack Nicholson movie.
Wildly different levels of quality.
Right.
Just like Caddyshack. She will never watch Caddyshack, and she will never watch The Car. Any movies that start with CA, she will not watch.
Well, because after a while, it starts to feel like homework.
Yeah.
Like, that's why you guys ask me, like, why haven't I seen a lot of stuff? And it's because the minute that more than, like, 2 or 3 people tell me to watch something, or I'm told that I have to watch something, I'm just like, I'm going to go back and watch House of Psychotic Women again.
I don't feel like you have to see it. And I've told her, but The Car is such an important movie to me. And I say, please watch The Car. And she says, no. And literally, the drive-in was the worst because it was on the screen in front of her. And
she's like boycotting it.
Yeah. She and Cubby
wasn't like she could go somewhere else.
Yeah, and just like I thought she almost drove away from the car.
Yeah,
like, leave me there. Bill will drive you home without the car. Yeah.
I'm kind of haunted by the ending that Bill described from the novelization of The Car, and it's just making me think about so many other films that end with like an ominous sign or an ominous signal that's otherwise mundane, but in the context of the movie is so unnerving. like the telephones ringing across the world at the end of The Lawnmower Man, stuff like that. I don't know. It's kind of gimmicky, but it's a gimmick that I find genuinely chilling.
And I like that kind of ending where it's not like, I hate the ones where they're like, oh, everything the hero did wasn't enough, and there's like a cheap thing at the end of it. Like the Ring movies kind of end like that. Versus like just that subtle thing is probably even scarier.
Sometimes they're just trying to leave it open for a sequel. Like I always kind of thought it was kind of lame that they would, with every new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, there would be a new mythology of how to kill Freddy, and then at the end it'd be like you'd hear him going like, like you can really kill me, and I'm just like, well, wait, then why should I care?
The end of the first one's unnerving though, because the way the mom gets whipped through that door is really weird, and it's really
even though
upsetting.
she's like a stiff, tiny doll.
Yeah, but it's still scary, like how she gets kind of like pulled through. Yeah, and Beth brings up the end of Black Christmas is probably the most unnerving ending.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It makes me love the movie even more.
I love one of my, like, when you think like one of my crazy millionaire fantasies, I'm like, if I won the lottery, like I'd buy the house from Black Christmas and host like a horror party every year. And, just decorate it like that. But I wouldn't have it at Christmas because nobody wants to travel for Christmas. So I'd have it in July. It'd be like Christmas in July.
nice.
Yeah.
That's a great
Kickstarter.
I would show up in Olivia Hussey's sweater that looks like the giant white hands on it.
I saw somebody had a sweater or a reprint of that sweater. I think it was some pundit in some program I was watching, maybe on Shudder, like one of those like horror, like anthology, not anthology, but the Descent into Darkness, I think it's called, or something. Yeah. And one of the talking heads had like that sweater with the hands like crisscrossed over. Yeah. So it's available. It's for sale somewhere, probably like Redbubble or something.
I told you that's my dream, to be one of those talking heads and say stuff like it's the best of all the sequels. And that's it. That's all I get to say. It's like the most basic stuff.
I guess what I'm trying to figure, I think what they do is when they interview people for other things, the people that they're interviewing will often go on tangents about what their favorite horror movies are, and they just save those video clips and compile them. Because I'm like, how would they randomly just bring this person in to talk about how much they love like The Car and Gremlins 2 or something? It's
noted car expert. That's what mine would be mostly like Jess Franco in The Car, and then that's the only times you would see me on In Search of Darkness 4.
Oh, and Joe D'Amato.
And Joe D'Amato, yeah, exactly.
And Bruno Mattei.
Well,
don't forget that the T-shirt in Yeti, the one that said "Kiss Me Yeti" on the back, had hands over the boobs in the front.
Oh, I want that shirt, and I want the BG shirt from Phenomena.
What, the white one that just says BGs on it?
Like, these are the shirts that I want, like the ones that I could most easily make myself.
I love how her character arc, as it were, is just that she's like obsessed with. She just brings the BGs to the movie, like she's wearing a BG shirt, and then she mentions the BGs, and then she's out.
Yeah,
she's not even one of the girls who's teasing Jennifer later. Like she just shows up for that one scene.
Somebody's daughter.
Yeah.
Somebody else's daughter got killed right in the beginning of the movie by having her head cut off and thrown down the falls.
Yeah,
the directors.
It's not safe to be somebody's daughter in a Argento movie.
I never saw The Card Player. She's in The Card Player, right?
Yeah.
I read some interview where she was like, now that Ozzy is in Hollywood, like doing movies with Vin Diesel, now Daddy wants me to star in his movies. And I'm like, oh, he brought you in for one movie.
That's the movie that started the fight between Aja and Dario that he talks about in the book, because she was supposed to be one of the big roles in it.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
What, she was too busy doing? Was she not around or whatever?
She was directing The Heart is Deceitful Above All Things around that. And he's like, I want you to be the lead in The Card Player. And she's like, well, I'm already making my own movie. He's like, drop it. You have to make this movie. And like, even in the book, he's like, she was being kind of weird about it. And, and I was maybe being too good of a father. It's like, it's a responsibility. I mean, this is messed up. And then, of course, he called his dog, the other guy. He's like, you don't get to be in any of my movies outside of me cutting your head off. You can be in The Card Player. And she's like, wow, thanks.
And then once Ozzy became available again, he's like, bye, Fiore.
But she's like, I thought I would get, no, sorry. You don't get to be in Dark Glasses. Sorry.
So I dropped the link for Death Spa into the chat numerous times. It's on Tubi. So just go to Tubi and enter Death Spa and get it ready because we're about to break and watch our first film. And we hope you'll come back and hang out with us again when it's over with our special guests, Mike Justice and John McDevitt. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Hope everybody enjoys Death Spa.
Yeah, it's this is going to be my first time watching it from beginning to end, so I can't wait. Let's get to it. We'll see you in the second segment right after Death Spa.